When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
David.
Where's everybody?
And 9 painful months.
Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Because of the way seatbelt locked, so we know Well, hello everyone. Dave Robinson here, father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. Happy Labor Day to everyone who is celebrating and those who are able to spend time with your family, friends, those that you love. It's one of the great times whenever you can do so to spend time with your loved ones. Here this weekend to talk about Daniel. Want to talk about some other things as well, the case of Daniel, as well as how you all can share his story, how you can share other family member stories out there, and also how we can act as a community when it comes to helping missing Americans. So, again, Dave Rousing here. I want to start off with Daniel. He's a geologist that graduated out of the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. For those who don't know, my son is a person that graduated with honors, took his degree of geology out into Phoenix, Arizona, landed his first job right out of college with a company called Matrix New World, also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater, where he was hired on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist, something that is needed in Arizona. Again, like I often say, because Arizona is a desert state, they rely heavily on groundwater as well as the Colorado River. So his job is very important when it comes to big cities like Phoenix and some of these other areas, Flagstaff, you name it, that rely on these groundwaters and these geologists and scientists who are able to determine if communities can be built these groundwaters can sustain those communities for 100 years. And by law is required. So again, those who don't know Daniel's story, you can always follow that as well on Please Help Find Daniel YouTube channel. I have tons of videos, information about it, as well as you can Google search geologist Daniel Robinson. A lot of things will pop up, but I want to start off with like a little parts of the outskirts of Daniel's case. I really, really want to come on this afternoon and really go into some details. I will be doing that coming up. Yes, already saw I did things considered. Things to consider is a series of things I have been doing to break down some of the things that I found in Daniel's case in my own independent investigation, and some things for you to consider when it comes to Daniel's case and why my son's case is so has so much mysterious areas where of course, where it's so mysterious that law enforcement and my investigation disagree on a lot of areas. For instance, the timelines, the how long that vehicle's out in the desert, sitting out there in that ravine. the evidence that should have been, whether we should have forensics done or not, things like that. So and the argument between myself and law enforcement is the evidence of foul play, those type things. So again, Dan's case has a lot of turns and twists in it, but I want to start off here. Like I said, he's a geologist, worked for the Matrix New World, who gave him two assignments that day on June the 23rd of 2021. He went out to the first well site allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly because there's some information as well I had a long time ago that would say question about things, but we're going with the storyline of he went out to two well sites, and where he was assigned to two well sites. He went to the first one where he ended up taking some pictures of logs there. My son, through his according to his text messages and his phone record, he was sending out a message to a phone call out to Ken. His name is Ken, that was waiting on him at the second well site. Ken works for a different company called Weber Waterworks, and it's a drilling company. Daniel's job was to go out there and meet him so they can assess the well to see if that well is producing enough water, enough volume, like the things I was just telling you about. That was his goals to reach and meet up with the guy there. However, my son had had to receive a phone call from Ken to I don't know what he was calling him for, but he called him, I'm assuming, to let him know he's out there. But I did get a voice message from Ken, where Daniel received a voice message from Ken that I have that suggested that he shouldn't come out just yet because of some fuel issues that he was having that morning. So he was discouraging him from actually coming out immediately until this fuel situation was resolved. Daniel, in turn, returned the call that he missed, but Ken didn't answer, and I can tell that by the length of the minutes and seconds on that call. It wasn't an answered call. So of course, on the phone record, it was like this thing Dan tried to call back, but a little while to make a long story. Going with Ken's story, he said that Daniel met him on Sun Valley Parkway. Sun Valley Parkway is a long road that's outside of the Sonoran Desert. Was in but outside the Sonoran Desert. And he said that Daniel met him on that roadway. They spoke for a brief moment. And he hopped in the vehicle. Daniel hopped in his and followed him into that desert. Drove 1 mile west, 2 miles north to get to a well site. Once they reached that well site, which was at 9 o'clock that morning, that was his initial assessment. And he got there at 9 o'clock. After a brief conversation about the weather, Daniel wanting to go back to Phoenix to rest and so on. He said Daniel waved off to him at 9:15 and to never have been seen again. According to him, he decided to sometime go search for Daniel. He said that he saw Daniel's tracks go south towards the T-junction where he should have gone, but once he got there, instead of him making a left turn to get back to Sun Valley Parkway, he made a right turn further out into the desert. Now, he also said while he was following those tracks, he stayed left of those tracks, not to disturb them, because he knew that law enforcement will become looking, and this case will become national. That was his assessment to me. That's what he told me and my witnesses, my daughter, personally. And also that he followed these tracks on and on for, and I can tell you those details later. But that was his assessment. At 9 o'clock, they came to this well site. At 9:15, Daniel was gone. Waved off to him and drove off. However, Dane's phone records do not match that. Dane's phone records do not match that timeline. The timeline, he says Daniel drove off at 9:15. Daniel made a call at 9:28 and also sent a text message asking for directions to the location. So, it was really, really, contradicted to his initial story. So those are the reason why I say if you saw some of the News Nation interviews and you name it, why a person who said they seen someone last should help, their story should be vetted. There should have been some phone records pulled, some data to show location, whatever. Law enforcement refused to have done that. that due diligence, and also just took his word as the gospel and has kept it. Moving forward, of course, the father I am, I love my children. Initially when I put in the missing person report, some little details about that I'm not going to get into right now, but I can tell you it was the reason why I jumped in my vehicle, didn't think, just grabbed everything I could, jumped in my vehicle and drove 2,000 miles to make it to Phoenix, Arizona. Now, I can tell you on that way there, doing all the work I was doing with law enforcement and also his job and everything else, doing work while I'm actually moving across the country. Um, my mind was there set. Hey, look, I'm going to find my son when I get there, but at the same time, I'm going to ask this guy who's told me something totally different from my son's personality. He didn't tell me personally, but I got this from law enforcement, and I'm like, no, this is not Daniel. I just want this man to look me dead in the eye and tell me something. So that's the reason why I was able to talk to Ken, and he told me those things about staying left of the tracks and whatever, what have you. Now, I can't tell you that just like I said, just being out there at that point of talking to Ken, there are some things that really stood out to me as well is the suspiciousness of his nature when I first approached him. Of course, I set up the time to meet with him and the ability to meet with him through Daniel's job. Daniel's job got me in contact with him. He so happened to be still at that well site where Daniel went missing. He knew I was coming. Make a long story short, myself, my daughter, and another lady was with us as we went out into that desert on Sun Valley Parkway. Happened to go to the same spot where Daniel first met him. Sat there, wait on Ken. They told him I was out there at the gate. He didn't show up. I didn't know what to expect. I don't know what Ken looked like at the time. He didn't show up at all. Some other guy showed up at the gate, a really heavy set guy. Um, and um, I thought it was Ken, but he said he wasn't. I don't know. He didn't give his name. He didn't offer his name or anything. But he asked you to start asking a whole bunch of questions why I wanted to speak with Ken and what I wanted to speak to him about. Simple. I said, hey, I'm just the father trying to get some answers about what happened to my son. If he have any answers, things he can stand to me, of course, that's what I need. So he offered for me to ride with him to the well site on this pickup truck. He had a white pickup truck. He opened that door and it was like, all kind of trash or whatever, food wrappers, you name it, all on the floor on the passenger side. At first, I didn't even decline. I said no. He kind of insisted, but I was like, no, I'm okay. Ken just need to come on up to the gate. I'm not gonna leave my daughter and the other young lady at this gate to women. And I asked him how far. I said, how far is this well site? He said, oh, about 15 miles away. Some crazy number. Hindsight, I know is what's in that far is only, like I said, 1 mile west, 2 miles north. But he said about 15, 20 miles out there in the desert. I'm like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. I'm not getting this vehicle with you and drive that far out. My daughter's sitting at the gate. So long story. He got in his truck with the door open. He made a phone call to Ken. And when Ken answered, I could hear the audio, kind of can't hear what Ken really saying. But he was telling them that I was at the gate, but then he told him to hold on for a second. He put the car in drive and pull up forward so I can be out of earshot. They had a conversation. Then he backed the vehicle back up and said, well, Ken is on his way. So once they not to, all this is something law enforcement know as well. Once after a little time, sure enough, after this guy went back towards the well site, I guess went back into the desert. Some time later, Ken came riding up. The first thing he did when he got the vehicle, he got out and he opened the side panel of his utility truck and he stuck his hand in there. I don't know whether he had a weapon, but being a military guy, the first thing I noticed is that, I watch hands. We're trained to watch hands, watch what people do. And to me, I could look at his posture that he is feeling threatened or he's on alert or whatever case may be. He's very not comfortable. Explain who I am. The only thing I had in my hand, I could show you the picture. I wish I had them up right now. I have many pictures of that I've been showing over the years. But, I had a pen and a pad in my hand to take these things that Ken had to tell me, take it down because I am doing my own investigation at that point. And once he saw that, I guess where I'm talking to him from a distance, he felt relaxed. He took his hand out of the compartment, shut it up, and then we had our conversation. So In that conversation, I also asked them, based on everything I told you as well, of him staying left of the tracks, not disturbing because he knew law enforcement would come looking, this thing would become national, and that he followed those tracks out until it went west into that desert. I mean, being that I never been out there, he was just giving me this story. He was telling me how he came up to a gate. He had to go through the gate and go another mile out, and he went up on a higher elevation to see if he could see Daniel from that point. He started even marking rocks on the ground. He says with red paint because he wanted law enforcement to know where to come look or where to look or whatever the case may be. And so he was giving those things, and I'm like, wondering where it's going or whatever the case may be. But hindsight, looking at it, I'll tell you what, that direction he gave us will lead you to where the vehicle eventually going to find that area. But that's another story as well. But the thing is, when he was saying it at the time, I thought that was really out of, he's going really details, and I'm really writing that stuff down because I'm like, okay, at least he looked in my mind in these areas, So, and then later also asked him that if somehow that, maybe he's been there when law enforcement told me they had this helicopter search, right? There's going to have this helicopter this time after I've been in Phoenix and just coming into Phoenix, that's when my auntie called me and said that law enforcement said they're gonna put this Phoenix Firebird in the air. So of course, the family, we were really excited to have them look out there for Daniel out in that desert. Something I've been requesting from day one that night. And so, like I said, just having that meeting was right there talking to Ken. That was one of the things I asked him in my interview to him was that, well, great. So I asked him, hey, look, have you been here since Daniel went missing? He said, yeah, I'm here every day. I said, okay, that's great. I said, so you was here when the Buckeye Police Department was out here at the well site, they said, looking for Daniel, and they had this helicopter flying over, searching the area. He said, no, they didn't come to the well site. I didn't see any, I didn't hear, as they say, hear any helicopter. So that really puzzled me. And from to this day, I really have a problem with law enforcement saying they actually searched for Daniel with this helicopter because I believe it never happened. It's something that told my family to make us feel good. Because as you've seen the other day, I played a video of audio recording, and I have many more of law enforcement not even saying they not even didn't go look for them. They actually just add them to the NCIC database that would for a law enforcement agency in another state or anywhere, Daniel license plate come across their cameras, would pick up the license plate and say, "Hey, your family looking for you." And that's the extent that they went, And I say I have those evidence to say that, but law enforcement put in their report that they actually went out to look for him with this Phoenix Firebird helicopter. And I can tell you the reason why I don't believe is also is that today, what's the day's date? Is the 31st of August the 31st of 2024, and I have yet received a FOIA. I put in a FOIA request. I went up to the Phoenix Fire and Rescue, asked for those reports. I put in the FOIA request. Their first initial findings was that it didn't exist. They didn't have any records of that. But then once they found out, I'm sure that I was doing this based on my son's looking into his case, they later came and said, "Oh, we're still looking for it." And as it stands today, I guess they're still looking for it. Every so often, they still saying, "We're looking for it." So I say it don't exist because that's the reason they can't find it. And so I don't really believe that happened. It wasn't no search for Daniel. It wasn't no active search. So again, going forward, for those who don't know Daniel's case as well, is that after hearing all of this with from Ken, I relate everything to law enforcement. Hey, how he's changed his story. He later even told another officer later that they made it to the well site at 9:30. Changed that timeline once, I guess. You could see that those timelines didn't match up. Talking about the phone record. But anyway, going forward, the vehicle showed up almost 30 days after Daniel went missing. It was roughly about 3 miles away from that well site, that allegedly well site. And I'm going to say alleged as well because the evidence showed that that's not the well site I was told it wasn't the one that he was actually missing from, based on Ken's own story. 1 mile west, 2 mile north will lead you to a different well site. But nevertheless, He went missing 30 days later, almost 30 days later. 1 day short of 30 days, his vehicle was found in a ravine by a rancher further in that Sonoran Desert. It was in a 20-foot ravine, lying on its side, of course. It's lying on the side out there in the desert. So he found it. He reported it to law enforcement. Uh, that vehicle being out there was one of the key things there to Daniel's case. First of all, to back it up, like I said, if you listen to Ken's story, his initial story that I have done, I wrote down notes ahead of time about it, the story, so I didn't forget what he told me. My daughter's not gonna forget what he said. But if you listen to that story, it will lead you to that area where the vehicle was found. However, I can say when we did find that vehicle out there, or when the rancher found that vehicle out there, law enforcement told the rancher, and this whole thing was really puzzling to me, and it made me very angry. Still make me angry. They told these gentlemen that the rancher who found the vehicle, whatever you do not. This according to him, of course. Whatever you do not alert the family, and do not alert the media about this, because at this time, everybody know I was out there pushing really hard for media coverage, but I was able to get local news and also radio station. But I wanted his story to go out a lot further, so I was pushing very hard every night. So it wasn't no. That's the reason. That's where the rancher heard the story through the local news. Just to say that, for them to not want me to know that a vehicle was out there was puzzling, because I was out there every day, almost many days with my binoculars trying to look out in the desert. I had desert searches out there with hundreds of volunteers on the ground, hiking all over the place of that desert. We probably even covered that area where the vehicle was going to eventually be found. Because we was going that direction, but the way was doing the searches and not knowing those terrains, I could not 100% say we actually walked in that spot. But I know my volunteers been in that area searching for Daniel. And so what I'm saying is, the rancher had later also verified this to law enforcement. They refused to take his story outside of the fact that he found it. So you can find that in the report, but they're refusing to put in the fact that he said, hey, I was here 2 days prior. I was here on the 17th. Vehicles found on the 19th. When I stepped in this very ravine, the vehicle wasn't there. And then he explained, even go further about explaining the reasons why he was in that ravine in the first place. He said, look, my cattle come through here. He's a fourth generation cattle rancher, is what he explains. He says his cattle goes through that ravine. They go down to this corral at the south of that ravine. And he's right. If you know those who's out there in the desert with me, you know that corral sits there. And he said it's the least resistance. These cattle go through there because it's least resistance to getting to that corral. So he came through there on the 17th, and to track his cattle. He said he's a good tracker, and his cattle didn't come through, and so that's why he came back 2 days later, and he saw the vehicle there, and because of the local news story, he called law enforcement. He said that one thing he threw out too as well is that he thought that whatever happened with that vehicle just happened. He said no, was there for 30 days. Because first of all, it was too clean. He's seen things. That's his property area. He's out there, like I said, all his life. He said anything. You find all kind of things out in the desert. They collect desert dust and dirt. The vehicle is too clean to been out there that long, and for 30 days. Because at that point when he was telling me this thing, I can tell you, law enforcement has already put it out there. Oh, it's there for 30 days without evidence. They're really adamant of it being out there for 30 days. And that was based on a hard hat. They said it had rainwater in it. He said, no, it wasn't there for 30 days. Him and his workers are out there look for the person who this vehicle must have crashed or something, because he said, hey, it's so clean to him. Wheels wasn't dirty. He doesn't name a lot of things. He even pointed out the fact that it was lying across the ravine. And you can see daylight under the crevice of that ravine, and that's where the water flows through. If it's raining that hard, which it wasn't raining in them days, because they were just coming into the monsoon season, and he explained to me, which is true, that vehicle sitting in the angle with that daylight on it, if water's running through there, it carried debris and things like that. Because everybody know that you go out there in that desert, it would have become like a strainer. So there would have been resistance there for the water, and it would have been debris there. But it's so clear and wide open, it wasn't. That's the facts. So we kind of look at things from the science standpoint in my investigation versus what law enforcement has been doing. I also have audio recording I will share with you in the future as well. Detective Biffin is detective in charge of that case, and for the Buckeye Police Department, explained to me the reason why he felt there was no need to do any forensics work on that scene. That's the reason why they haven't done any forensic work on that scene. I had to demand the work that was done, and when I say work that was done, I didn't know what to ask, and they did exactly what I asked. Is the bare minimum. The bare minimum for them was to swab the steel wheel shifter and door handle and say we did our job as law enforcement. And to this day they haven't even compared those swabbings to anything. Here it is in 2024 because it's not no urgency to them. The other part is the fact that there was airbag deployment in that vehicle. All the airbags deployed, suggesting else was in the vehicles as well. If you all have a car, modern day cars, if the airbag on the passenger side deploy, someone I believe over, I think it's 40 or 60 pounds sitting in that seat is what caused the airbag deploy. Because anything less than that, it do not deploy because a small child may be in that seat or animal or pet or something. And so it don't deploy because airbags has actually killed a child. So of course, someone, an adult, was sitting in that passenger side. All the airbags are deployed front and back, but law enforcement refusing to check the airbags, which everybody know when airbags hit your body, it takes off a part of your DNA. Of course, it hits your face, it hits you at so many pounds per second, and hit you, and they're gonna take something off, right? That's why a lot of people have cuts and braces from airbag deployments, and also it's a lot more, to the, if you want to swap the steering wheel to shift or swap the seat as well. Look for, it is doing the whole forensics workup. And also the fact that, if you listen to the story of the rancher, he did not mention the clothing at all, on that ground. It's what thing he didn't, that's one thing he didn't mention to me. He didn't even say, hey, I seen the clothing on the ground. You know, one thing he said to me, what law enforcement told me about the clothing on the ground, 3 feet away from the vehicle. You know the story. Their assessment, the truck flipped and rolled and landed on the side, and and I'm thinking about this stuff, you guys. It's land on his side. He got a severe brain injury. They said, well, the good part was they said first that he didn't sustain any injury because he had a seatbelt on. And they know he had a seatbelt on because the seatbelt was locked in a certain position that happens whenever you get in an accident. But the other part was they said that at the same breath they were saying they believe he had a severe brain injury. And because when he kicked his way out the sunroof, and that's the reason why the glass is on the ground. Mind you, Jeep Renegades do not have a sunroof glass, but law enforcement said they kicked his way out of the glass in the sunroof. That's why the glass was on the ground. And that once he got out, because he had a severe brain injury, it caused him to feel like he's hot. He was delusional and hot, and it make you strip your clothes off. And that's the reason why he stripped his clothes off. His clothes sitting 3 feet away from the vehicle, and he probably wandered off and hid under a tree to cool off, and that wild animal got him. Because that wild animals out there, mountain lions, coyotes, and things, must have got to him. That was their first initial take about Daniel, because they said they didn't see with their eyes any blood in the vehicle. So that's the assessment like that would cause me to go ahead and move on and get a second opinion. I did get my second opinion. So everything you know about my son's case, if you guys look it up, Google it, it tells you about anything that says about the red transfer paint, the 46 initial cycles, about to crank it up 46 times after it was. Now I can imagine. I'm saying something. Also, law enforcement want you to defy science. They want you to believe that a vehicle could lie on the side, person sitting in the driver's seat and pressing the brake pedal and cranking the vehicle up 4 to 6 times like that, right? I know my son is strong, but he's not a superhero either. The other part is, like I said, anything you find, the red transfer paint, the evidence that we found on that vehicle, it came from my investigation. It came from my hiring of my private investigator, who's as the reconstructionist. When we got all the evidence back, I mean, we went through hell to even. First of all, the vehicle was given to me day after it was found. July 19th, it was found by the rancher. July 20th, they asked me to come out too. Like I said, they told me a day later, as a matter of fact, and they said because they didn't want to disturb my sleep was their excuse to me. But nevertheless, skip that part. The vehicle was given to me the day after. And then they threatened me if I didn't get out of their place quick enough, they were gonna have a total away and I had to pay this storage fees if I didn't get it out that same day. I talked to them, hold it for 3 days, Detective Biffin. And in those 3 days, I had those meetings. So that's the reason why the vehicle's there from that standard point, because I demanded. And then from that meeting, I'm sure they would have had me to pull it out of there. But I demanded it with Chief Hall for them to do some type of forensics work, which they ended up swabbing the steel wheel and shifter, like I said. But then after that point, making arrangements to get that vehicle out there, my investigator when I hired my investigator, he went up there to retrieve the vehicle, and oh my God, they was fine with it. They're fine with it until he opened his mouth. They asked him, say, "What you gonna do with the vehicle?" He said, "Hey, I'm getting the dashboard pulled out, the infotainment system, sent out to California because he had place out in California that can analyze all that stuff." As soon as he said that, it became hell for the Buckeye Police Department. Oh no, we can't release this vehicle to you. And they went through this whole strain where I guess their district attorneys, city attorneys told them, well, they already turned the vehicle over to me. It's my property. They cannot hold it. So to transfer it to me, I had to come from Phoenix, drive 40 some miles to meet my investigator and these officers and sign a piece of paper saying they giving it to me, right? And so I did that. But once we got the vehicle in possession, like I said, we found all this information, and it was hard. It was hard with the stuff that law enforcement was saying at the time. It would make you wonder if there's some type of cover up going on. My investigator at the time, being a former law enforcement officer himself, worked the department and did some things as well. He was really reluctant to. He rather wanted to go straight to the FBI about it because of the things that he found, and we could not do that at the point. FBI was more so, hey, it's a case that need to be invited by law enforcement. So, make a long story short, we reluctantly gave Buckeye all the information that we got. So we hear all the information that we gave it to over to Buckeye Police Department, who in turn kept it for almost a month quietly. Took that information, and then after about a month, they decided to hire their own investigator and then the ironically to the investigator, he tried to rebut every finding from my investigator because they refused to accept that the vehicle wasn't there for 30 days. They refused to accept the information of foul play. So what they did is they hired an investigator who's also a reconstructionist. And for there, now think about it, they have their own detective, but they hired a private investigator who was asking the reconstructionists of their own. This investigator have never seen Dane's vehicle. I said often on here, and I'm gonna keep saying it the way I like to say it. He never touched it, smelled it, or tasted it. He don't know nothing about my son's vehicle. Never seen any clothing, examined anything concerning any evidence. All that stuff is in my possession to this date. And he have never even asked me to even look at these items, but yet made a full report about something he have never seen with his own eyes. And he put it out. They put it out in the public for you guys. He even went to a dealership as a worker about the discrepancies between the mileage and the dash. Discrepancies about the mileage, and instead of going to the manufacturers, if you're a real investigator, you would go to the manufacturers. The reason why I know they wouldn't have went to Jeep or Chrysler, who makes those vehicles, because they already know what they'll say to them. Hey, no, we don't have any recalls on this vehicle when it comes to the mileage and things not agreeing. So long story short, because they're not going to take a lawsuit for the Buckeye Police Department to say these mileage don't match, and that has happened sometimes. That's something that they put out in the public for you guys. But we all know that would be called a being a product liability for one thing. The other thing, it would have been a recall on that vehicle, and there's no recalls about the mileage and them not matching in the computer and stuff like that. So but they went to where I look at it, they went to the dealership and knocked a guy on the shoulder that worked there, could be a janitor or something, and say, yeah, that's happened sometimes. They say, oh yeah, some guy at Jeep said XYZ at a dealership. So they're finding the answers that they want to hear, just to rebut my son's story to my investigators' findings, I want to say. So those are things that I had to deal with when it comes to the investigation. So like I said, you guys, anything you hear out there in the public that don't think is Buckeye Police Department that actually found these findings, is actually came from my investigation. Also, the fact in Daniel's case, I want to lay out with the volunteers that's out there with me every week. Hundreds of volunteers. We're working very hard searching for Daniel. Started off as a rescue. I can tell you information you hear out there about human remains being found in the human skull, that came from my searches. That came from the volunteers who's out there with me without law enforcement help, without the assistance of law enforcement, without any funds from law enforcement. And the critical part about this human skull, it was found in a place where they gave me their word that they actually was out there, even though it's also against what the rancher said he saw with his own eyes again, while he sat out there and changed law enforcement's tire for them. He told me how many personnel was out there. He told me the story. Hey, it wasn't no helicopter out there either that day. He said it was only they used a drone. And it's kind of ironic because the only footage to this day that they ever gave me was drone footage and no helicopter footage at all. So I kind of believe his story on that too. But the thing is, like I said, with that whole area out there of them saying I really searched for your son on July 19th. That's why we didn't, I guess, tell me until July 20th that the vehicle was found. We was out there the whole day searching for Daniel. We had cadaver dogs, plural. We had cadaver dogs, search dogs. We didn't find any. We didn't find no footprint. We found nothing come leaving from the scene of Daniel or whatever case may be. Right? This is what they're telling me. And they had all these dogs out here. They said they had Maricopa County dogs out there. Now, I can tell you on a few 100 feet away, I'll say about 1,000 feet away from where that vehicle was found is where the human skull was found by the volunteers in my searches. Now, and that was after they claimed they had these dogs, right? And so, long story short, if they really were doing due diligence work and really had those dogs out there, their dogs are trained to find a human skull because that's all they look for. And I can't tell you even further than that. I had to get my own cadaver dogs in my searches, drones and all kind of you name it. Thank God for those who've been donating to my searches and things. I really appreciate it because I wouldn't have been able to do none of that. Charter helicopter flight and plane to oversee it and all that kind of stuff. But we did have cadaver dogs out there, 2 sets. And each time coming from that crime scene, I like to call, we had dogs to track two different separate occasions. One tree area that was there near that crash site of human remains. Of course, that's all they sent for. Of course, we didn't find any human remains there, of course, but the dogs for some reason alerting on the tree, but it kind of was going up that tree, looking like something up that tree. We're trying to find anything up there on this one little kind of high tree. And we couldn't find anything. But what I'm saying, those dogs alerted 2 different times from that area. You don't hear none of that from law enforcement. You don't have no report where they say, where's the dog report? I asked for these things. Where's the dog report? They say it with their mouth and put it in a report, but they have no evidence of things they actually did that way, right? No dog reports to record or anything. So long story short, but I have dog reports. So next time I do this live, I'm going to put a lot of things out. I wanted to say that today. I kind of went off on a tangent a little further than I really wanted to on a little story about Daniel's case. But I've been working hard, everybody. I've been working hard and really putting these things together. And I can't tell you it's tough, especially when you're not getting help from law enforcement the way you need it. I got help from the Tempe Police Department of Arizona, who did the forensics on the electronics for me. I was able to secure that meeting with the Mayor Woods at the time. At the time, it was Chief Glover and Assistant Chief Anderson. We had a meeting, myself and my team, and we was able to convince law enforcement to do those forensics. And they said they were doing that for me as a favor, the Tempe Police Department. But they had to share those findings again, share those findings with the Buckeye Police Department after we got those results. The results did come back to suggest that somebody was in Dane's apartment looking for things through his computer, his electronics, after he went missing. I have those dates, but I cannot, put that out in the public right now. But law enforcement had those dates. Buckeye Police Department had those dates as well. Everything I have, they have it as well because we shared it with them also. But they refusing to this date to even include those findings in their report about Daniel's apartment. Someone's in his apartment searching after he went missing. The fact that my investigator was in his apartment found evidence somebody searching for something physically. The drawers and things pulled out, closet torn apart. Somebody was looking for something, but we couldn't at the time say it wasn't Daniel tearing his own room up for whatever reason, look for something when he would know where it's at. And also, you put those two things together and give you a timeline of when somebody was there looking for something. So it was well after Daniel went missing. And so those things mean something. They mean something. Also, the fact the word eyewitness that I gave law enforcement myself, I mean, may mean something, may not. But coming into Daniel's apartment for the first time, complex, my daughter was, and I was going to show us with his apartment. But and I can admit I drive a little faster than she does, and we had the GPS on, and I got it to her apartment complex before she did. She was following behind me, ended up being. And when I got into this complex, myself and another person with me, I'd never seen Daniel's vehicle for the ever in person, but that picture you guys see on social media and things, that's the picture I put out there. That's what he gave to me. The better picture of his vehicle, beautiful vehicle, and and so I had that to go by the color and things like that. So we pull up in the complex. I seen a vehicle look just like what we would see on that picture, flying out of that complex with 4 white guys in it. They was like they was having a good time or something, kind of laughing at something. But it was riding past, and the young lady I was with, she said, "Is that Daniel's vehicle?" And I'm like, "No, this is Arizona. I'm assuming everybody have vehicles like that." I was like, "Yeah, that's coincidence, pretty much." It had the same red hooks in the front on it, and one thing I didn't notice would have been a distinguishing thing for me is to look at the hood of the vehicle and saw that painting kind of design thing on the top. But other than that, if I would now hindsight look back at it, I say I wish I could have just took a snapshot of the license plate as it was flying out of the complex. But I did report those things to law enforcement. And again, yeah, the way I take it, and all this is my opinion about the Buckeye Police, but I have to be specific. I talked to law enforcement agencies. I want to make sure I'm being specific when I say law enforcement. The Buckeye Police Department, I can't say they've been very selective what they want in their report, what they want to go look. If it don't fit that narrative, that Daniel somehow is depressed, it don't fit that narrative sometimes, some kind of way he's like stalking the young lady. If it don't fit that narrative that it was wasn't 30 days that vehicle was sitting out there in that ravine, certain little things like that, they would not put in their report. They would not investigate. They would not continue on. Because imagine this now, I'm holding a vehicle, asking them to do the forensics to this date, in jeopardy of losing that vehicle forever, can't pay these bills forever. And to house forensics, I can't say for law enforcement, to not want to just say, hey, look, we have a rapid processing center. Let's go ahead and process this thing. We have the evidence here. This man can take these vehicle and he can send it to the city dump or whatever the place it goes, junkyard, so he can stop paying these storage fees. And also the forensics on the clothing to make sure we process it. Family said they don't identify the clothes. Let's make sure it's Daniel's clothing. Let's get these airbags processed. It's easy for them to do that and get this stuff on record and get the details. So we as a family, myself personally, can stop paying these bills that I can't afford, if you get what I'm saying. So, but they're refusing to do so. So that was my biggest points about why I'm still here today, still fighting. People say, hey, things seem like it's standing still with Daniel's case. It is. And it's because of law enforcement. If law enforcement would say, hey, we could process these things, I guarantee you we'll have more leads into Daniel's case. And I hope this don't happen to many. I'm starting to see this a lot, though. I don't happen to many cases out there right now, and then people kind of relate to this and say, yeah, it seemed like law enforcement came and said, well, we ran out of things to follow up on. We've ran out of leads, is what the word is. In the Daniel case, if they say that, I'll point out you didn't ever run out of leads. You have the airbags that still need to be processed. You have the clothing that need to be processed. You need to follow up on this leads from the apartment. You need to follow up on the leads for the young lady, with the older couple who had an eyewitness account or what they saw that day, that I don't put in the public as much as well. Some details about that. So there's a lot of things out there that law enforcement is not just whatever reason wanting to follow up on, but can say to the public, we have no more leads to follow. We did the best we can. We can pat ourselves on the back and say we swapped the steel wheel shifter and that's it. And we haven't even processed it. I mean, as in we haven't even compared it to anything, but we did good. Ain't nothing to do and nothing else to find. He's lost forever. and nothing else to do in this case. That's the reason why I'm fighting, you guys. I'm going to continue to fight. I'm running for Congress. That's another thing, and I'm not here to talk about that as much, but it's part of what I'm doing. So that's really, like, you hear me say it, to not only get the answer for my son's case, but also get the answer for all these missing Americans that happen every year, and the cases that happening just like what's happening in Daniel's case is not unique. The arguments, the concerns, the disagreements, the hurt, the pain, the frustration with law enforcement, all that is not unique to me. And I'm not a police basher, as I told you guys before. I'm just talking about the facts that's on the ground and things, how things are, and the reason why we could do better in this country and really push for better action when it comes to missing Americans and people like my son, and get these answers that's available. The answers sitting right there. Answers get available and actually get law enforcement to act upon it. Because some things, as a family member like myself, our hands are tied. I cannot go grab somebody and interrogate them and put them in an interrogation room and try to get answers. That's not my job. The only person being in interrogation rooms in my son's case is my daughter, and me and my daughter. That's it. We're the only two that ever been in an interrogation room, asked any questions by the Buckeye Police Department. They take everybody else's word for what they think, but they ask us questions to get some little things. And so that's not how things should be. We want to make sure that we are fighting for every American who have a missing loved one, and make sure we recovering it. So don't want to go into campaign mode, but I want to say one thing real quick here is I want to share a few things, because what I know is very important is when we decide to go out and share missing American stories. That's a lifeline, like I tell everybody before. It's a lifeline for every missing American family, because a lot of times people don't have the opportunity to get out and get their loved one's story national. I was fortunate to do that. It took a hard work. I'll be honest with you guys. It took 3 months of hard work. I'm lucky if I got an hour or even an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep. Constantly doing what I did in the daytime, searching out there in the deserts. I had a city search at the time, going to cities to search homeless populations and things like that with volunteers, and then go home at night and prepare for the next day. And also thanking everybody who's supporting every night. I made it a point to thank everybody I can, one by one, every day. And also hitting up these celebrities and things and crafting a way to get Daniel's story out there nationally. And it worked. It worked. And that just happened just for me. It happened from you guys sharing Daniel's story. So, but I want to share other stories. That's what I'm saying. I want to share stories. That's what I say. It's important for us to do that. And I'm going to start with this. I'm going to share a screen with you all. And, we could talk about that. But share a loved one story is very important. Like I say all the time, it's a lifeline for this family, special opportunity where family don't get that coverage that we need. A lot of times stories are based on, when they get that coverage, based on what the news media deem is something that a lot of times, I hate to say it this way, but I'm talking to ones that actually report a story, because I've met people like Sarah Seidner's and those who Robert Dean from Dateline, all those people who actually care. They'll call you off air. They call you off air to check on you, see how you're doing. I have Robert Dean was doing that almost every day. Some of the News Nation folks as well. So I'm saying is a lot of reporters and the people, they are definitely doing the work. But I'm saying, but the station itself, the network itself, look for ratings and stuff and how they make money. So a lot of times these cases do not make it. Missing in America. But this is a Black and Missing Foundation. We have Gary Brown here, Mr. Gary Brown. Mr. Brown went missing on December 2024. He is now 53 years old, from Los Angeles, California. He's a Black male, medium complexion, 6 feet tall, 160 pounds, hair black, hair length short, and eye color brown. If you want to have any information there, you can call the Los Angeles Police Department, 877-275-5273, or you can hit up the Black and Missing Foundation. You see the number there. I will need to put that QR code so those who are looking back at this video can also utilize that video. But anyway, location last seen, Gary was last seen with Michael Johnson, also missing approximately midnight at a relative's resident in the vicinity of the 2,500 block of Buckingham Road in Los Angeles, California. Circumstances unknown. Also, we have next missing two is Renaya Moorhead. She was missing on January the 5th of 2024, now 14, from Los Angeles, California. A black female, light complexion, height is 5'4", 125 pounds. Black hair, medium hair length, and eye color is brown. Any information again, you can hit up the Los Angeles Police Department at 877-275-5273. She was last seen on January the 5th of 2024 around 8 p.m. in Los Angeles, California. Circumstances unknown. Also, you can hit up the Black and Missing Foundation. I'm going to scroll down a little bit so those who look back at this video can utilize that barcode. Also, I have here Joe Belki Metellus is missing on that's August the 24th of 2024, and that was just recent. He's 16 years old, missing out of Silver Spring, Maryland. Gender, he's a male, a black male, complexion medium, 5'6" in height, 146 and 46 pounds, black hair, short hair length, and eye color is brown. Anyone have information, they can hit the Montgomery County Police at 301-279-8000. Located, last seen was that was Saturday, August 24th of 2024, approximately 3 p.m. in the 200 block of Treetop Lane in Silver Spring, Maryland. And the circumstances are unknown. Again, you can hit up Black and Missing Foundation or the Montgomery County Police. Also from Black and Missing here as well, Madeline Doze. She's been missing on August the 25th of 2024. She's 16 years old, out of Houston, Texas. Black female, light complexion, 5'2", 115 pounds, black long brown, black hair. Length of hair is long and brown eyes. Also, anyone with information can please contact the Harris County Sheriff's Office at 281-537-9492, or you can hit Black and Miss Foundation. That is the QR code on the bottom. Also, her circumstances, last seen was on August 25th in the 7,700 block of Heron Lake Drive at 5:55 p.m. Circumstance of her disappearance, her family says Marilyn, she had been reprimanded by her father. Her father left the house to go pick up one of her older siblings from work, and when he came back, she was gone. The family says the front door was left open, and another sibling who was at home did not know Madeline had left. And I want to say something real quick. She's 16 years old. And the first thing that a lot of people say in a circumstance like that would say, oh, she's just a runaway. And, she's 16 years old again. And that's the point I'm making real quick here. I have to stop at this one because I want to say that because I see it, I hear about it, and I see it often. She's a child, 16 years old, making a child decision. Let's say she was upset and she took off and ran. She put herself, don't you know, when people do in them age groups get out there, they put themselves in harm's way. And a lot of times just don't know it, they're a child. And much as the 60-year-old may think she's not a child, she's actually a child. And so we got to make sure we do everything to help that family bring her back home to her family, and make sure that law enforcement can help find Miss Doze. Because she's have a child mind, and I've heard stories like that. You guys know some of the stories that was on these lives that I did before that would suggest the same thing. The children, and sometimes children do children things, but her life could be at danger. We want to make sure we bring her back and get her home safely. Also, we have the missing exploited children, Miska Johnson, missing since July the 31st of 2024. Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, age now 19 years old. And so if you guys have any information, you can hit the missing exploited children. This is both photos they said here are her when she was last seen on July the 31st of 2024. But if you have information on Miss Johnson here, That's the NCIC number there, as well as, like I say, you can hit up the the missing and exploited children. So the Army Criminal Investigation of Hawaii at let's say 1-808-208-0059 is the phone number. Also, I have here missing children. Kush Cole Bernstein. She was missing since October the 12th of 2022 from Hawaii as well, age 8 years old, a little baby, male. I said she, well, he, a little male. And so what we need to do is make sure we bring this child home. Also with him is missing Koa Bernstein, missing sister on the same date. She is age, I'm sorry, another male. They say male here, but anyway, age 11. That's age 11. And that's the NCIC numbers there, as well as Abigail Bernstein, age now 33 years old, female. And so, you have any information about them, please, by all means, call the FBI, the Honolulu, Hawaii division. That's 1-808-673-2719, or you hit the missing and exploited children. And lastly, I want to show George Valenquist. I can never say his name correctly. I apologize. But George, he's been missing since May 29th of 2024 from Los Angeles, California. He's now age 16 years old. And if you have any information, please hit the Los Angeles Police Department in California, 1-877-275-5273. Again, thank you everybody for your attention on that matter. Again, the goal is to bring everybody home, bring these families home, these children home. Is very important for their family, very important for the nation. We have 600,000 Americans go missing every year in this country, 3,000 a day, almost 2,000 of those are children. We have human trafficking, you name it. There's things out there that causes harm for our children and our nation. So we cannot ignore it. The story from my family, a retired military guy, just now doing a lot of things to move past my military experience, things I had to deal with in Afghanistan, and the injuries I have attained because of those. And then you get to a point in your life where you accept your retirement and do things, and then your child go missing. Everybody who knows me and my family knows I'll sit in my favorite place at my house here, and receive that phone call. Like I said, it can happen. Out of a million years, I never would think that my child would go missing, my son would go missing, any of my children. The other thing is that I didn't know anything about missing Americans like that. I didn't know what was going on in this nation. You might hear a story or you see something passing on, that someone say when someone went missing, haven't seen this person, or you see something on the interstate that say, hey, look out for this vehicle, silver alerts and things like that. So we do pay attention to those things, but it's not something that's constantly on your head all the time. But then it can hit home. It can hit home, and you can realize that, no, this ain't something that just happens every once in a while you see on the interstate. This is something that happens every day. This is something that happens every year, 600,000 a year, 3,000 a day. I mean, this happens every day. South Carolina, last I checked, I need to check again, but last I checked, it was 270, and that was in March that went missing this year so far. And that was in March, 3 months after the new year. And so that number is a lot higher now. The numbers don't go down, they go up. And so what I'm saying is, God forbid it happened to our families. Sadly to say, it happened to mine. And like I said, we wasn't even prepared for that. Nobody's prepared for that. No family that I just showed you are prepared for what's happening. It's a scary time for them. So again, you have information about my son's case. You can see the number right here on the bottom of the screen. You can use that anonymous number. You can be anonymous. You can use that number and call us operators 24 hours, 7 days a week. I pay for that. And you can remain anonymous. If you don't want to talk to anybody, you can just text the word tip to that number. A form will come up on your phone. You still can remain anonymous if you like. And so I would need those answers to what happened to my son. I definitely relying on that. and I want to make sure I do everything I can to get those answers. And I'm going to keep continuing to fight. I'm gonna have forums like this, talking on social media, and as well as doing the lives and things like that. So I'm getting off of here, but I'm looking at the comment section, and I want to say, if y'all please, I'm gonna come back again. I want to do this, finish up my things to consider. I will be talking about a lot of those things that I spoke about, but you get to hear some of the audios now I'm releasing. You're gonna get to hear, see some of the evidence that I found outside of what you all know from past, from news and things from law, even from law enforcement. I'm going to release these things because law enforcement not utilizing these things, but maybe the public can help as well, to get some of these answers. But I want to release these things to show you the credibility when I say, hey, I feel law enforcement could have done a lot more, and then this will be the reasons why. So I'm going to start off with those audios from law enforcement, Buckeye Police Department, that suggest outside of what they're putting in their report, and so it don't those things don't match. It's like apples and oranges. So what's happening in reality on the ground is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to show you some things for you all to consider when it comes to Daniel Robinson's case, why it's problematic not to get these forensics fully completed, why it's problematic for things that the evidence that I worked very hard to get, and also the money that you all had to utilize to help me get a private investigator, for instance, to not be used. I know people come to me all the time, say, Mr. Robinson, I know this for this organization that can do the forensics on the clothing or whatever the case may be. I'm really, really not trying to go that way right now. And it's because, first of all, one thing I want to say real quick before I jump in the comment section is that Daniel's case has been damaged severely by the Buckeye Police Department. When they gave me his things a few days, I think it was like 3 days, it was on the 22nd of July, roughly 22nd of July. Vehicles found on the 19th. They gave me all his belongings marked for safekeeping. Wasn't even marked for evidence. Marked for safekeeping. That's Daniel's. What safekeeping mean? That Daniel's gonna come back butt naked in the desert out there, gonna come back for his things. And I'm getting the family for them to hold for him, right? And I probably should leave that alone. But the thing is, all that stuff that was given to me from that point, all the evidence and things like that from that point, his case was damaged. It was damaged because they didn't mark for evidence. They didn't do any processing. They didn't do anything, keep things in their possession, put in evidence locker, none of that stuff, right? And the chain of custody was broken, right, from my son's case. So what happens is, when I say chain of custody was broken, I did the best I can. A novice, a person don't know nothing about law enforcement, how to process or do anything, but I was smart. I'm a very intelligent guy, not like pat myself on the back, but I'm no dummy either. And so I knew better, despite of the fact he put those things in the trunk of my vehicle. I had a hotel at the time. I didn't live in Phoenix. I had a hotel. That's why I needed you guys' help to help me keep what I used to say back then, keep my boots on the ground, to remain in Arizona to fight. I took those things back to my hotel room. I took it out of my trunk, of course, but I kept those things in that bag exactly how law enforcement gave me, because I knew I could not open them, look in them, or anything. Because what I heard from law enforcement, I knew I was going to have to get a private investigator. So when I got my private investigator, I gave it to him exactly how they gave it to me, untouched, open, and whatever. And he the one marked, as we was leaving the hotel with those evidence bags, of those bags with the stuff, Daniel's belongings. He showed me, from law enforcement standpoint, him being a former law enforcement officer, detective himself. Look, you see this tag on here, because it had these check marks on it, these things where you could check boxes or whatever. He said it's marked for safekeeping. It's not marked as evidence. They did not process these things. And he was right. They didn't do anything to that stuff. What they did is threw them in a bag, marked for safekeeping, and gave it to the family. And he has shown me that. But to make a long story short, of course, he had to end up doing his job and breaking those seals, what I like to say, and do his job. But the thing is, it was a chain of custody that was broken, right, from law enforcement, to the fact that they was even out in the public accusing me of holding back evidence. I'm like, they was calling me, asking me after I lost trust in them, to ask me for certain things. That they had in their possession. They gave it to me. I mean, it was crazy. But the thing is, just the fact of the chain of custody part is being broken in Dan's case. If someone had, God forbid, I don't know what foul play really means in Dan's case, but I know foul play happened. And when I say I don't know what it means, like what's the extent of that? Um, any defensive attorney can get a criminal off their actions based on the way the Buckeye Police Department handled Daniel's case, is what I'm saying. And that's the problem I'm having when it comes to chain of custody, of not allowing anyone to just do forensics work on Daniel's stuff. So as a father, I'm protecting Daniel in every aspect I can. I'm sitting there protecting him against law enforcement sensationalizing Daniel's case with this whole stuff, talk about the woman, and he was in love with a woman and he didn't know, this lying on me. And I asked him, I don't know how many times to take that out their report, because I never said that to them, that he was in love with a woman. He told me he was in love with a woman he didn't know, and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. The other part is, the character of Daniel, that they put out there as he was stalking this girl without evidence, because she said it, that she saw him on her surveillance camera. Let's see that footage, for instance. There's things that people say, and law enforcement ran with it without even attempting to see if those things was valid or not. Hearsay stuff, bunch of hearsay stuff. And also their attacks on me, personal attacks to me. On their news report, they came out with things that, oh, Mr. McGrath said this about Mr. Robinson. I mean, like, what they got to do with my son's being missing? That kind of stuff that been going on with law enforcement that really is offensive to me as a father. So that don't have any bearing on why Daniel's missing. That's going to solve a case. Put in your report about what Mr. McGrath may have said about David Robinson, that type deal, stuff like that. So that's the kind of things I have to deal with, and so I try to be careful on just allowing my son's case to get. There's all kind of things going on, and so as a father and as a man who's has some intelligence, and what I'm saying is I don't allow, no matter who you are, law enforcement, FBI, whoever, I'm just not going to let you run over Daniel Robinson's case. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to let anybody run over anybody's case. Is in my eye. That's when I'm running for Congress. So it's some things that I'm saying is that could be done better. There's some things that we could stand up about and fight for. And so I'm fighting for Daniel. He's my son, of course. That's natural. I'm going to do that, but also fighting for it because I know what's really happening in this case. And I'm just not going to let these people that are involved just walk away unscathed. So again, thank you so much for everybody's support, and I really appreciate you being here. I want to go into the comment section and thank Esther for being here. So many lies from them. It never made sense in their story. It don't make sense to this day. You're right. And thank you, Esther, for constantly supporting. Tracy, thank you for constantly supporting. Hello to everyone. I really appreciate you as well. And thank you again, Esther. Let me see here. Who else I have? Another Maria. Thank you again for constantly supporting. Not having immediate access to search assets is ridiculous. Just jumped into the chats. Thank you, T and Wildflower, again, for you constantly being supportive and been from day one that you came aboard. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a moderator as well. Hello to you. Hello to everybody who's on the Instagram side that I cannot put on the screen, but those who are on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter I can put you out here on the screen. But thank you everybody that's not on the screen as well. I see you, Katrina, off the Instagram side. Linda, who else I got? Sheen, Jury, thanks so much. A lighter. Lynn, thank you so much. Jody, thank you again. Daisy the Clown, thanks so much. And I have, let's see here. Shelly, thanks so much. And Jessica, thank you for being here as well. Jen, I really appreciate you coming out. Hi, David and everyone. Prayers for Daniel every day. Thanks so much for prayers. I believe in prayers again. Prayers help a lot of things. So, Denise, thanks so much. Can a private organization process the swabs? Again, that swabs is in. Me personally, everything the way things been happening in Dan's case, I don't really believe the swabs exist either. But because of law enforcement say we did this, and I requested those things, I would like to see it. That's all I want to say. I just don't trust them because they said it. I mean, after everything I've seen in Daniel's case, I don't trust Buckeye for anything they said. I still don't see the evidence of the first Phoenix Firebird um, flying. And I'm gonna tell you something. Speaking about that really quick, when they told me that, and that when Ken told me that he was there and he didn't see no law enforcement came up there while he was there, he said he was there every day at that well site, and that he didn't hear any helicopter, right? And that came out his mouth. Whether he wanted to tell me that or not, but he said it. But the thing was that made me suspicious. So it made me so suspicious. I got my daughter, who's living in Phoenix at the time, and I left my hotel and I called. I said, "Hey, we're gonna get up. We're gonna get up early in the morning." But I left the hotel and we're gonna go up there because Buckeye said they're gonna do this search with Silver Air Patrol is what they call themselves now. Now I'm gonna tell y'all this happened before the vehicle showed up. And they say it's going up there. The detective Biff told me, "Oh, they're gonna do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna be at 6 o'clock in the morning. We got a fixed wing aircraft that's gonna be flying over, and they're gonna fly in the desert and look, see if they spot Dane's vehicle." I'm excited, but I didn't believe him because of what the man told me. I didn't believe it happened, and so I didn't tell Detective Biff I was gonna show up, but I showed up. We made it there at 6 o'clock. Detective Biff and them wasn't there. They didn't show up till 8 o'clock. They showed up around 8 o'clock. I have video footage of that. I will share with you guys too. Silver Air Patrol. This is one thing that was very suspicious to me. When I got there, it was like six vehicles, six pickup trucks, some older gentlemen. I think like 1 or 2 person per truck. And they sat outside that vehicle, and I asked them. I said, "Look," I said, told my daughter and the other young lady, "Look, I'm gonna go with these guys and go out there in that desert with them, and y'all can go back to the hotel or whatever, and I'll call you when whatever the case may be." Asked Detective Biff, and I was like, "Look, I'm going to come out there with you. I want to help out." They said no, they didn't want me to help. I cannot help. They don't want me to come. They doing this operation themselves, right? Okay, all right. I had to accept that. So I'm sitting at the gate, and I guess they know what kind of father I am because I'm out there in the desert. Mind you guys, I already had my search going on before that time, and I'm out there almost every day trying to find my son. And so, long story short, because I have my suspicions about him. But anyway, what they did is when they all decided to go out there and they started driving, they was talking for a while. One was even urinating in front of my daughter on the ground. It was really disgusting. But they started driving on off into that desert. But they left one vehicle behind. Now, one vehicle guy, he parked his vehicle across the gate so I would not be able to come in. He just sat there the whole time, I guess, to keep me from coming in that gate. And they went in. I tried to look at them as long as I could with my binoculars and see if they really. I was looking for them to go in towards the well site. I didn't know anything about where the vehicle was going to be found towards the west. I mean, towards the south at that point where the vantage point I was at. And I was watching to see the dust that comes off their vehicles out there in the desert. You can see the smoke or whatever, the dust. And to make a long story short, a little while later, sure enough, the fixed wing aircraft came by. It's going east and west. It's coming east, and then it went back across some other part, go west. But it's going east and west, but it's kind of heading up northward, right? One pass, even though they report they say they had 2 paths of that, is one pass, back and forth, one pass all the way up till that vehicle, that aircraft just didn't come back no more. To make a long story short, now Buckeye put out the places they search out there, and if you look at the map, they searched that area where the vehicle eventually was going to be found on the 29th. They on the 19th. I'm sorry. And they put on their map. They actually looked at this area where the vehicle eventually was found. But then what happened was when the vehicle actually got there, people asked them. The media was asking like, "Okay, well, y'all had a map here that said you actually searched the spot where the vehicle was at. Why y'all ain't see it? Why y'all didn't put it, say it was there?" They said, "Oh, we missed it because there's so much brush. They did came with all this kind of wild things, So again, what I want to do is, again, that's what's going to happen when these when I say things to consider, is things I'm going to be putting out that contradict what they said, because they saying, "Oh, it was so heavy." Now this is blue vehicle, sky blue vehicle, desert is brown. They sitting from a vantage point of an aircraft. They say looking down at this vehicle. If the vehicle there for 30 days, they would have saw it, something blue in the desert. Um, and then the crazy part is talking about how low altitude is flying. And he was flying pretty low from that one aircraft I saw, and the vehicle wasn't there. To make a long story short, and and also the pictures that I got from the drone footage of that area that they took, and also some that I have gotten myself since my searches. I want all of you all to see how wide open that was. For it's impossible you'll miss a vehicle sitting there if you really search that spot. So and if the vehicle was there, the vehicle wasn't there. We already know that established, but I'm saying this law enforcement saying it was there for whatever reason they want it there. But I was saying, but as in to answer your question, Denise, no private investigative organization to process those swabs and stuff like that. I doubt if law enforcement, first of all, would give it to them because it probably don't exist. The other part is, I probably wouldn't want it myself with the chain of custody being hurt already. Team Wildflower, thank you so much for putting that up. Please help find Daniel.com for those who want to help, my efforts to find Daniel, share his story, etc. I really need your help to continuously. The Weird Man, thanks so much. None of the story makes sense. It really don't. The more you learn, the more I learn, the more it seems like LE is involved in the cover up. And I tell you what, I felt that way a long time ago about the cover up part of it. And thank you again. I see your comments here as well. My heart goes out to you. I met you at Crime Con in Vegas. Oh, great, wonderful. Thanks so much. I'm sure you don't remember me, but I never forgotten about you and your son. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure if I saw your face, I would remember. So thanks so much. I really appreciate it for looking out and being here. Again, T and Wildflower, thank you. Consider joining the mail-in protest to demand action. And I'm seeing you say that, T and Wildflower, you reminded me. Thank you for being this moderator. I'm going to go to the website real quick for those, because you guys have to jump off and anything like that. I want everybody to actually go to the, website and follow me there. Please help find Daniel.com. That's please help find Daniel.com. When T and Wildflower was talking about the mail-in protest, I'm gonna get that shortly. But real quick, T and Wildflower, I'm going to sign the petition, everyone. I started off. The first thing I did when I was searching for my son is I created this website. Please help find Daniel. The second thing I did is had searchfordaniel.org. So if you use searchfordaniel.org, it'll just take you back to Please Help Find Daniel at this point. I don't use that website anymore. But also added this change.org petition. And the petition has 132,311 voices to it. The goal is 150. It's been sitting in this point for a while. I utilize this petition a lot when I go talk to law enforcement, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I have to update it because you can see right here, I started a petition, but then that's when Sheriff Zone was in the sheriff, but he's no longer. We have Sheriff Skinner now. But what I'm saying is, and I keep saying I'm going to update it, but everything keep me from doing it. But I'm going to update it. But I utilize this website, change.org. And if they ask for donation here, you guys want to donate to their cause, you can. It has no affiliation with me, but or Daniel. But saying change.org has been great to help me get this petition. And so I'm trying to make the 150,000 goal of getting your voices, people who are actually backing my efforts to find my son. So definitely put your voice to this petition. If you have multiple email addresses, you can do it multiple times. And I can tell you, change.org will sometimes ask you to verify email address. And they do. Please do that, because if you don't, it won't count. And also, again, if they ask you for donations, they need that, I guess, to make sure that they are providing these services for people like myself. And so, again, I really appreciate them. And also, the events tab, if I have an events, the request flyers tab for those who want to help me in form of getting flyers out, because that's part of my efforts to find Daniel and get information, is to keep a story out there. And some people say, well, it's been this enough time. I mean, why in my city, why in my state? All these questions like that. I can tell you, reason why in your city or state It's because a person who may know something that might be living in your state now, and they see those flyers, it remind them of something. We don't know what happened, what foul play actually mean in Dan's case. If he's out there, don't know who he is, or something happened, he's in some kind of trafficking situation. Someone see that flyer, I've seen this guy before. There you go. Or he see it himself and realize, something. The other part is that I have been in Phoenix when I was living in Arizona, doing the search for Daniel. I've been in Buckeye. I've been in Phoenix. We go downtown. We go in the areas, and we go in the city areas, and we're putting flyers at malls and even talking to people, the volunteers and myself. And they haven't even heard of Daniel's story. And they were right there in Arizona. So I'm saying, if you're not hearing the story in Arizona, it's a big chance that a person in your city, in your state, Georgia, California, New York, whatever, Maine, they may not have heard of Daniel's story. And it's crucial that his story get out there everywhere. Like I said, when I was in the desert, and the reason why I was working so hard to get his story out nationally, because the only way I could see it from a military standpoint is that the furthest I'm going right now, when I was out there in that desert trying to make awareness, I get on the local news or just trying to do everything I can, talking to radio stations and try to get on their channels, was that it's only limited. Certain things are very limited. But when I have eyes everywhere, when I say eyes everywhere, when I have you all, no matter where you live, and you're telling Daniel's story, that's my voice for Daniel, my efforts to push out there in your area. It's also push his story out there, push his face out there. Say we cannot hit everything without you guys sharing. So that's one of the things as well. Flyer distribution is free of charge. It don't cost you a dime. You can request these flyers, and we have these flyers sent out to you. So I really appreciate that for those who request the flyers. They help me keep Daniel's story out there. I can tell you also, if you want to print the flyers yourself, to help with resources, because it costs, I know, to print. And trust me, I know it costs a lot. And so, if you're doing that, it's a form of donation. And I thank you, because you're taking your ink, your time, your paper, all that to print these flyers. But it's the availability of doing that is right here as well. So if you want to help that way, you can do that. But like I said, they help us with resources. But if you want a free of charge, again, you can request those flyers there. Also, some of the other tabs, they kind of inactive, so I don't want to go to like the volunteer search and other ways you can utilize that if you want to help me as well as be a part of the team, help volunteer in other ways tab. But what I was showing at with what Team Wildflower was putting up is about the mail-in protest. Mail-in protest was derived from when Sheriff Pizzone was in office, was the sheriff, and we was working deals out with them to try to get these forensics done. And that's what I asked them for. Instead of them giving getting the forensics done, they kept bouncing back and forth with Buckeye and all this kind of stuff. But what they did is they stopped me because I was going to have this protest with you all, if you guys can remember. And these are the picket signs for those protests I was going to hand out to each and every last one of y'all came out there in Phoenix to protest at Sheriff Zone's office at the time. I'm still planning to do that with Skinner too, especially around this election time. But have these protest signs out there. And what he did is, people don't know, and they was wondering to say, because I had a date set and everything, and then I ended up canceling that date because Sheriff Zone gave me a promise that he didn't keep. He gave me two promises, me and my team. He's going to get those forensics done, and also another search for Daniel. And what they end up doing is he called my team in. I had to come back to South Carolina at the time. He called my team up and had them sit in the office. I'm going to show y'all this too as well. It's called a situation room, and had them there for operation that they did do to go search for Daniel, right? And this is about like a year out after Daniel went missing, but they did a search operation where they had them sit in the room. But I was going to be able to be there, but my team sat there for me on my behalf. And also they did a video for me to. They couldn't really do videos inside. We couldn't take like pictures ourselves, but he did come give me briefings from South Carolina. And so, long story short, to me it was like more like a photo op. I had a gentleman who works for I think it's Andrews Air Force Base right there in Arizona. It was Andrews, or I forgot the name of it, but it's right there in Buckeye area. But um, he's out there to do work for me too. So he still do a lot of scouting for me. It's a military thing. And we have some concerns. I'll be honest with you, some concerns about how that mission really went, how they really did search. But the whole point is, to me, it was like a bit, almost like it's a form of search, but it's a lot of photo opting too at the same time. And the reason why I say that, because the operation was later deemed on social media as a Buckeye operation, Buckeye Police Department's operation. I guess to give them some credibility that's out there doing stuff for Daniel, because I was making a real big noise about the lack of things that the Buckeye Police Department have been doing. So what I'm saying is, the protest was hindered because of that. Because I say, hey, look, he's going to do what he says he's going to do. I told everybody in the public, look, we're going to hold off on this protest, and we stopped it. But these are the picket signs for that. I wanted to pick it back up because, like I said, he did not. I'm still holding on to these forensics. Still hold on to it. Maricopa County has some liability in Daniel's case. My son went missing in Maricopa County. Maricopa County, Buckeye is in Maricopa County. Also, the fact that we have a fight with the FBI of the federal government. That's why this was going to help me to come in as well. The federal government side, Daniel's vehicle was found on federal lands. We can go back and forth. I was talking with BLM, the Bureau of Lands Management. They the one sent me the map that proved that. But there's a fight between what Buckeye said. Oh well, I'll read and say it was on private property, not on the outside of that federal land. It was on that rancher. The rancher who found the vehicle was on his side of that property, not the Bureau of Land Management. So, but let me tell you the crazy part about that. They arguing over a few 100 feet. You literally can stand up where the vehicle is found, and you can walk out to the west. You can take probably less than 50 paces to the west, and you're on federal land. So it's just that close. And the reason why I was really arguing that point, because I felt the FBI should have been in Daniel's case a long time ago. His disappearance happened on his vehicles found on federal land. To make a long story short, and so that's the argument we're having to this day with that too as well. But this, to pick up what I was saying about this protest, you guys, what she was talking about is the mail-in protest. I need help with that, because what this does is it's beyond my efforts by getting his name out there, keep his name out there with the flyer distribution. This is also putting pressure on law enforcement constantly. And the idea I had at the beginning was to, because people say, Ms. Riley, I wish I can come with you to protest. We need to go protest. But I live in New York or something. I live in Catskill, Georgia, I like to use. I live in Florida, whatever the case may be. This is the opportunity for everybody to participate. And I found a way of doing that is to have the mail-in protest. Many of you mailing in your protest. It's a new concept I came up with. And what it is that my idea was that people from all across the country print these out. And there's another form of donation, because I really appreciate the cost it would be for you to print these out, and put them in an envelope, and the stamp that you had to use. But put them in an envelope, and one by one, each flyer, whatever one you choose, send them out every week, send them out every month, send them out as much as you can. You get to schools, churches. I've seen that. What I wanted to do is flood these departments with these protest flyers. Flood them so they can't never say they forget about Daniel Ross's case. They cannot say the public don't have interest in this case. They cannot say it's a cold case. It serves a lot of purposes. But these are the PDFs here. You click on any of these PDFs, you'll be able to print those out. So that's what I'm saying. It's really simple. You'll be able to print them out, and just stuff them in an envelope and mail them out. So that's what these PDFs are for, is different ones. And I came up with that, like I said, and it has sayings too. Like, this special, I like this one especially. I made up. If Daniel was a cop, and what would justice do? If we demand the same treatment, if Daniel was one of your own, this is to the Buckeye Police Department and to Maricopa as well. If we demand the same treatment, if Daniel was your own, we demand a criminal investigation into his disappearance of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. What do we want? We want justice. When do we want it? We want it now. And the reason why I say this, you guys, because if you think about it, If law enforcement, I say it often here too, if the same circumstance was found out there in the snoring desert, if they would say that one of the Buckeye Police Department officers was out there on patrol and he went down, they said, lest we know, he went down. I was watching. Somebody said I was watching. He drove down this road 1 mile west, 2 miles north, and he never came back. And then they went to go looking for him, and then all of a sudden they found his cruiser lying on the side. The same day now, not 30 days later, same day, cruiser lying on the ground, or it could be 30 days or whatever. Cruiser lying on the ground the same manner. This is way further in that desert, lying on the ground sideways like that, like it crashed. And the officer's uniform was 3 feet away from the vehicle. Everything, his gun belt, all that on the ground in a pile, underwear, socks, everything, right? And I mean everything the same manner. To make a long story short, and they would not have not even a little bit said it wasn't a criminal case without evidence. They'll say they would have said, well, he walked off, had a head injury, and he went and hid on a tree, and they couldn't find him. They was out there looking for him, they couldn't find him. I guarantee you, if that was an officer that made national news, it would have been officers from South Carolina here going out there to find that one officer. From all over the country, there have been all kind of investigations to what happened to that officer. It wouldn't have been to the family, they would have packed up his stuff, his personal belongings, took his uniform, put it back in the recycle, whatever they do with police uniform, give it to the family, whatever they're doing. They would not put that stuff in bags and say for safekeeping for the family to get that officer things. You best believe it would have been a criminal investigation. The FBI would have been involved. Everybody would have been involved. What's the difference between Dane's case and an officer's case in this situation? None. And so what I'm saying is that's why I fight the way I do. Again, I'm just a different kind of man. I'm a different kind of father. I won't say I'm a different kind of. I really want to believe that any father, any parent would do the same thing I'm doing. So I want to take that back when I say it that way. What I'm saying is, I'm gonna speak for me personally. Me personally, I'm a fighter. First of all, I'm a fighter. I don't give up on nothing, and I'm not giving up on my son. I refuse to allow a situation to be taken in my son's case as if it wouldn't have been taken in another case. And I don't hear no justifications for the lack of work of any law enforcement agency when it comes to anybody, especially my own. And so what I'm saying is, this is the way the protest derived from. And when you guys are helping with that, it helped me to keep Daniel's case alive. You, like I say, you get these PDFs, you mail them to these department, the Buckeye Police Department. Please, like I say, please mail your PDFs to the address below. Buckeye Police Department Sheriff Chief Robert Sanders is the chief now. It used to be Chief Hall, but he's now Chief Sanders. He used to be assistant chief to Chief Hall, but now he's moved up to chief. That's the address there to the Buckeye Police Department. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Russ Skinner. He's the sheriff. He's you know what? He came in after Sheriff Zone, and also Chief Hall at the time. They mysteriously retired. One retired, and the other one quit. Sheriff Zone quit, and that's why Sheriff Skinner is there. Had to take over until this election. I want to say Sheriff Skinner is an elected official. So, like I'm saying, if you out there in Arizona, you see how he's treating the Daniel Robinson case. I don't know if he's an equal kind of sheriff that you want to have there. So I'm saying I'm not going to speak for anybody in Arizona. I can a little because I was staying there for that enough of time, looking for my son as well as my son is a resident. What I'm saying is he's the person I wouldn't, I'll be second guessing on that one. So the thing is, if you want some fairness and impartiality in anything, if God forbid it happened to your family or something go on, so you might want to consider that. But this is the people that you're sending out this information to. And what I was saying is I need 1,000 of these letters to send out to them weekly. And the way that happened, that's avoid the cold case of Daniel. And the way that happened is for you all to send out these PDFs to these locations as much as you can. I mean, just every chance that you can. I need 1,000 of those, out there. So again, that's on the front page. If you guys want to know how to get there, it's on the front page. As soon as you pull up, please help find Daniel. It's right there on the front page. You can't miss it. The mail-in protest, and just scroll down a little bit. So again, All right, and I think that's it when it comes to that. So thank you so much, everybody, again for joining in. I want to hit a few more people. If somebody have a question, I'm looking for that. A few more people, then I'm jumping off. Mr. Robinson, it was great seeing you again. Keep the faith and stay strong. Daniel is always in my prayers. I'm rooting for you for Congress. Thanks so much. Be the change. Yes, I will be the change, especially here in my state. People they know we need some representation really bad here. Thank you for sharing coverage on all of the missing. May God be your strength. Yes, He is the strength of my life, and He's the one that making all this possible. So I thank God. Unsupervised maniacs. Thanks so much. Renaya was shown on Soft White Underbelly channel. And yes, and just try to everybody share these stories because it's important to that family, to that person. You never know. You share, and that solves the case. Somebody see the right thing at the right time, and then bam, that's the answers there. PM channel, thank you so much for being here and your constant support. Good afternoon to you and the moderators. Yes, in the chat, thank you so much for being here and showing up. I really appreciate you. I don't see any more questions. Uh, so I want to end it. Yes, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Help the algorithm. Help me grow this channel continually. Whenever you hit, I don't care if you put a thumbs up, anything, when you comment, anything that helps with the algorithm, help this channel grow. Share, like, and subscribe. Those things help it grow, and I need those things. So definitely comments definitely will help too. It could just be a simple thumb up or something, that helps. So please do so. Tavia, thank you so much for being here and your constant support. Thank you for your hard work in keeping us updated. Sorry, I haven't been getting any notification for my YouTube. And I can tell you this: I haven't been able to get on as much as I have wanted to. Tavia, with this congressional run, we only have like 60, probably 69 days left before November 5th elections, and I have to work really hard to try to win this election. I'm going against a incumbent who's been in office who built the whole. I like to say when they've been in that long, they built this dynasty for themselves. And a lot of times people keep voting against their own interests because they have name recognition. It's easy for them to say, "Hey, I'm voting for the same person," or whatever the case may be. But it's kind of it's difficult. I have to make sure I'm doing everything I can. So I spend a lot of time to tell people, look, you have another option. You have another option. You don't have to do the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results. I mean, do something over and over again, expecting a different result. When you have another option now, you have a person who actually stand up for you. So again, and that's is representative, but that's what I'm saying. The hard work, we're just saying of what not keeping me from doing the minute lives that I would like to do for Daniel's story. Trying to do that balance. I try to do one also on Fridays at 8:30. You probably notice everyone that's campaign specific, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and I have to win this election to be effective for not only my son's case, but all the missing Americans that's out there, because there's legislation that I want to introduce when I get to Congress that will help law enforcement and families get this. Law enforcement do their job, and families get the access to things that we should have had a long time ago. It'll also help with to get things done with technologies that we should be using already here in 2024. So I already have a plan. In other words, Karen Lee, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Mary, thank you so much for being here. I will keep on pushing. Mar, thank you so much. Keeping Daniel and your family in prayers. I pray he return to his family. He will. I really have faith in that as well. Tavia, thank you again. That sheriff who quit knows what's going on. Yes, I'm sure he do too. I show a lot of things that what they say, what's done in the dark will come out to the light. And you know what? Those things come to the light when you got people like me who's going to actually keep pushing until we get those answers. So it's coming. It's coming to the public too. We are your army, David. Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And it takes a whole army to fight for justice and things like that. So thanks so much. That put a smile on my face. Also, let me see what I have here. Maybe Daniel had extra clothing in the car, and what they piled up. Um, I'm trying to understand, but maybe saying one thing for sure, clothing in the car and things like that. We just don't know. That's what I'm saying. I really don't know, about clothing and things like that. So it's not. I can't never say, oh, there was no extra clothes in the car or this, that type stuff. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that. So just don't have any evidence of it yet. Brittany C. Daniel, Daniel, you and your family are always in my thoughts and prayers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Brittany. And lastly, Tavi again, for your congressional set, Mr. Robinson. Yes. So again, for those who do want to know about my congressional run, they can visit davidrobinsonforcongress.com. davidrobinsonforcongress.com. You can support no matter what state you're in. My run is for my state. Of course, I'm when I say for my state, I'm representing the 2nd Congressional District in South Carolina. But when you're in Congress, you're representing the entire country. So, support me if you see that my values fit your own. For those who do, definitely I would love that support. And I need that help, and I need support to win. I need the support. We need donations and you name it to actually be able to get the word out. I mean, it's like I said, I'm going against a 20 plus year incumbent, so he had plenty of money. He had a lot of PAC money. I don't have PAC money. Any donations I get come from regular people like us. Don't come from people who I'm not. In other words, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. So definitely we wouldn't have that type of things just floating around, cash on hands and all kind of stuff from years of collecting donations and stuff. So but yeah, definitely need your support for that. I don't want this live to be all about my congressional run, but it's kind of unavoidable because it's the reason why I was running in the first place. And just want to say that I need your support if you would like to do that as well. All right, and y'all have yourself a wonderful evening. I hope everybody enjoy time with your family. Like I said at the beginning, hope you get to just share stories or everything. Just make sure you tell the person you love them. Don't forget to do that. That's the number one. I always say that before I leave and end, because it's important to me. It's important. Should be important to it's important to the person you tell that you love. So every family out there needs to have that dynamic to say, you know what, may have some little problems or disagreements or whatever case may be, but we know each other. We have each other, we family, and we have those things. So again, take care of yourself, be blessed, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not leaving anything out, but be blessed, and I'll catch you on the next live. And like I say, we catch you on the next live, and take care of yourself and enjoy the rest of your evening. So again, I'll make sure I don't end anything correct. Take care of yourself. Be blessed. Take care. Talk to you.
Government officials insist that this...
That BNC Live has been following from the beginning. A father continues his mission to find out what happened to his son.
Daniel Robinson vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
Daniel Robinson went missing in the Buckeye Desert.
Urgent plea from a father who has scoured the vast Arizona desert himself.
4-year-old Daniel Robinson, and this is a very, very odd mystery.
Daniel Robinson disappeared on June 23rd in the far West Valley.
His parents, David and Melissa, need our help.
I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson.
His name, Daniel Robinson, and leading the search, Not law enforcement, but Daniel's father, David.
God knows how much we can bear, you know, and at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
Where is Daniel Robinson?
And identify they were human leg bones.
But you know what? It's still urgent to me as a father because, we found human remains out here.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son.
I also want to thank the volunteers that come out here every weekend, volunteering their time. And, without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search.
How does a young man vanish off the face of the earth? How does that happen? No record, no sightings, nothing. He's just gone. And when I say a young man, I'm talking about 25-year-old Daniel Robinson. He is the apple of his parents' eye. A young geologist, music lover, good looking, great grades, the works. So why can't we find Daniel? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. And his dad, David Robinson, is using the GoFundMe money to fund his own investigation and the desperate search for his boy, his son, Daniel Robinson, 25 years old. What happened to him? How did he just disappear? David Robinson, sir, thank you so much for being with us. Tell me when you first realized your son just hadn't called in a couple of days, that he was truly missing.
Yes, my son, on the 23rd, I did get a call from my daughter. She also lives out in Phoenix.
And at times I feel like I can't really take but so much more.
But in his weakest times, David says it's the volunteers that provide him strength.
Everybody know that I call them my extended family. And so this visual is the same thing. We all here have one common goal, and that's to find Daniel and also to bring light what happened to other families.
As the Robinsons' extended family light candles tonight, their collective light shines towards that day when their question is answered and Daniel comes home. Josh Sanders, 12 News.